It was one of those crisp autumn mornings, the perfect kind of day for a new adventure. Jake and Elena stood behind the nondescript dollar store at the end of Elm Street, their eyes glinting with anticipation. They were seasoned dumpster divers, a term they wore with a badge of honor rather than shame. Jake, a tall lanky man with an impressive collection of vintage comic books and old vinyls he'd rescued from oblivion, was checking his gloves and flashlight. "Ready for the haul?" he asked Elena, who was already halfway hoisting herself onto the dumpster's edge. "Always," Elena grinned, her eyes sparkling with the potential wonders lurking inside. As she leaned in, she pushed aside the cardboard boxes and wrapping plastic. The short burst of daylight danced over a pile of discarded items. "Check this out," she exclaimed, holding up a perfectly usable alarm clock. "Not a scratch. Well, except for the one-time stands at 6:30. Jake chuckled and followed suit. "It's like last time when we found that perfectly good blender." An hour in, and they had scored big time: unopened stationery, a case of canned goods with slightly dented cans, nearly brand new cleaning supplies, and a whole set of mismatched party supplies. "This feels like a mini jackpot today," Jake thought aloud, packing their find into reusable tote bags. Then came the ultimate surprise. As Elena swept aside some torn plastic bags, a box came into view, taped shut and entirely intact. Curiosity took over, and she nudged Jake to give her room. Carefully, they opened it to find decks and decks of greeting cards. "These are totally new, no damage at all," Jake marveled. "Think of all the people we could spread some cheer to."
In the bustling city, amidst the glaring neon lights and incessant sounds, there stood a beauty supply store, one renowned for its luxurious products tempting passers-by with promises of beauty and charm. But unbeknownst to the shoppers that thronged its aisles, little did they know, Geneva and Grizzly, two friends and seasoned urban explorers, had uncovered an unexpected treasure trove right behind the building. Geneva, the cautious and detail-oriented detective of the duo, was checking her phone for the right time. She and Grizzly had discovered that the store periodically disposed of unsold goods, notably during late evenings when the hustle and bustle faded away. Grizzly, a daring adventurer with an eye for the unique, couldn't resist when Geneva first told him about the possible score behind the beauty store. "Can you imagine all those expensive products just tossed away like trash? We're going to dive in and see what we can salvage," he exclaimed with excitement that Geneva found contagious. As the moonlight bathed the city, they set off toward their destination. The journey was quick, as anticipation fueled their pace. Arriving at the site, the alley behind the store was deserted, the solitary dumpster looming like an ordinary, yet mysterious monument. "Okay, let's do this," Grizzly said, his voice hushed, glancing around to ensure their undisturbed operation. Geneva nodded, and together, they approached the dumpster. Equipped with gloves and flashlights, they began their exploration. The metal lid creaked open, revealing an unexpected sight, a cache of neatly stacked beauty products. "Wow," Geneva whispered, hardly believing their luck. Lipsticks, perfumes, lotions, and pristine skincare products filled the pile, some brand new and still sealed. "This must be worth over $1,000, she speculated, her voice tinged with awe. Grizzly chuckled, "Looks like beauty does come for free, if you know where to look." They carefully sorted through the items, their excitement building with each discovery. The selection was varied, high-end brands that were once inaccessible were now theirs for the taking. As dawn approached, they wrapped up their operation, leaving the alleyway with bulging tote bags heavy with newfound treasures. There was a shared thrill between them, an unspoken understanding that took root in the spirit of discovery.
Grizzly Adventure, known for his daring escapades, and his partner Geneva, had set their sights on an unusual mission: to explore and capture the eerie essence of hauntings rumored around the small, historic town of Jefferson, Texas. The night was clear, yet the atmosphere felt laden with an unsettling chill, as the couple made their way through the quiet streets heading towards the edge of town where the oldest structure stood. Their target for the night was an infamous location claimed to be haunted by the locals, the town's old, abandoned junkyard. The tales circulating around this spot spoke of nocturnal whispers, flickering shadows, and the occasional appearance of a spectral figure, ominously referred to as the Trash Panda King. Grizzly and Geneva approached the towering gates of the junkyard with trepidation. Grizzly, carrying his trusty video camera, felt an adventurous thrill despite the spooky setting. Geneva, ever practical and resourceful, carried a backpack loaded with equipment, flashlights, snacks, and a digital recorder for capturing any paranormal sounds. As they crossed the threshold into this labyrinth of rusting metal and looming shadows, a sudden gust of wind swept past them, rattling loose sheets of tin and sending a cascade of leaves swirling into the air. "Do you feel that?" Geneva whispered, her eyes scanning the dim surroundings. "Yeah," replied Grizzly, adjusting his camera to record in night vision. "Let's set the record straight on these ghost stories." As they maneuvered through aisles of old appliances and stacks of debris, Geneva thought she saw something dart behind an old refrigerator. Heart pounding, she urged Grizzly to follow her. They approached cautiously, flashlight beams cutting through the darkness, only to find nothing but a pile of discarded tires. Yet, as they backed away, a playful giggle echoed through the space, sending shivers down their spines. "Definitely not alone," Grizzly muttered as they pressed on. As they reached the heart of the junkyard, an unusual sight greeted them. Arranged in a circular fashion lay a series of objects: aluminum cans, broken toys, and tattered bags, almost as if intentionally placed as an offering or a throne. At that moment, the air changed. From the shadows emerged a white, ghastly figure, shrouded in the haze of an ethereal glow. The figure resembled a giant raccoon but stood upright like a human, its eyes glinting in the darkness. It was the legendary Trash Panda King.
Geneva and Grizzly spent every Saturday exploring abandoned places around town, fueled by their curiosity for discovering hidden treasures. That morning, they read about an old dollar store that had recently shut down and decided to investigate its surroundings. As the sun dipped below the horizon and daylight began to fade, the pair made their way to the eerily quiet lot. The atmosphere was thick with a sense of foreboding, the air stagnant as if time itself had paused. Geneva glanced around uneasily, her instincts warning her that something was off. "I don't know about this, Grizzlies. I've heard too many stories about places like these," she murmured. Grizzlies, however, was far too enchanted by the prospect of finding overlooked treasures that lurked in the abandoned dumpsters. "Come on, Geneva. It's just a bunch of old junk," he replied while rummaging eagerly through a pile. Then, from the corner of her eye, Geneva spotted a shadowy figure lurking at the edge of the lot. "Grizzlies, someone's watching us," she hissed anxiously, pointing towards the ominous silhouette. Grizzly stopped momentarily, his brow furrowing with a mix of curiosity and defiance. "Maybe they're just another treasure hunter," he shrugged, though his voice betrayed a hint of unease. He turned back to the heap, and his eyes glinted with excitement upon discovering a sealed mystery bag. "I really think we should go," Geneva insisted, pulling at his arm, her voice urgent. But Grizzly's was adamant, his adventurous spirit overtaking any caution. "Just one more bag, Geneva. Look, it could be something really cool," he reasoned, already tearing open the contents.